All right. Hey parents. So I had a request yesterday. Um, well, really just some questions from another parent. I know that this parent is probably not the only one that's asking a bunch of questions. So I thought I would do a YouTube video just for you that kind of just talks about what to expect or what to do as your child's kind of new teacher. Um, just know that this is not what anybody had planned or envisioned for this year. I hate missing the time with them. Um, Gosh, if I could, I would go back in the classroom in a heartbeat and teach them. I love listening to them read and doing math and watching their faces light up. So I'm making this video so that hopefully you can go back if you need to rewatch stuff. Um, and then feel free to ask questions anytime. I'm here, I'm usually doing work on my computer, or I'm helping my son do his work, or I'm working with my preschooler at home as well. So sorry I'm not dressed up. This is kind of the daily wardrobe now. I just went on a run, trying to get out of the house a little bit in the neighborhood. So pardon me, just kind of excuse me if I mess up or if I get kind of weird talking, I'm just kind of going off the fly a little bit. So one of the first things is high frequency words. And what I'll do is I will share a high frequency word chart that it comes from our reading curriculum. We stopped on Unit 7, Week 2. So Unit 7, Week 3 and beyond are the new high frequency words. And then I'll tell you, as long as your child can read all of the high frequency words, or even 90% of them, they're going to be ready for second grade. But those are something you can practice, or the high frequency words at home, and I'll share that list in the comments of this video. Vocabulary words, really, if you can, reading is such a huge part of everyday first grade. If you know they don't understand a word or they don't know what it means, try and get them in the habit of asking, what does that mean? Or if you see on their face that they're confused about something, talk to them. How can we figure out what this word means? With using clues around us, using picture clues. Vocabulary is huge, just really being open and available to talk about stuff. I'll get a list of vocabulary words together as well from our reading series, and I'll kind of attach that document to our video too. Sorry, I'm going off my notes that are over here. But really, the vocabulary and high frequency word, get students kind of seeing the vocabulary words, seeing high frequency words. Something you can use really is just note cards, old school flashcards. Something else I've seen, which I'm probably going to do 2 separate ways with both my kids. My 4th grader struggles with vocabulary sometimes, so I'll probably write down some vocabulary words for him and their big Nerf gun kids, and I'll maybe give him a clue as to what this word means, and he can shoot the card with his Nerf gun. And my preschooler, we're still kind of working on letter recognition and letter sounds. So I might do the same thing, take these up on the wall and tell him the letter, and he has to shoot that letter with the Nerf gun. So that's something that we'll probably be doing, especially on a rainy day, but that's something you can do too. Or it doesn't even have to be a Nerf gun. It could be a fly swatter. You could lay the cards on your kitchen table, and you tell them the high frequency word, if it's she or her or almost, and they have to hit the card with a fly swatter or a spatula. You don't even have to have a fly swatter. Be creative. Note cards are a great thing that you could get at Walmart if you're already going grocery shopping, or if you just have paper, make your own note cards. It doesn't have to be, thick note cards. Some other things, just make sure you're exposing them to reading. When they get on Clever, there is an app called Benchmark. So normally they're working on Lexi or Dreambox or BrainPop Junior, but there's also one called Benchmark, and that's our whole reading curriculum. So that's where I can go in, and I've done this for about half the class so far, and I'll probably do the rest in the next coming days. but I can go in and add books that are on their level, and then I can add games that are phonics games that they can play. So the books that they were reading in class with me or with another first grade teacher, since we kind of switched groups, they're books that are just like that. They're the same types of books that are in their yellow envelopes. But what we can do is they can read those. It will be read to them sometimes. It's audio, but you can also have them read it to you, and it turns the pages for you. So it's exactly the same. It's in color. They're fantastic. And all you have to kind of let me do is, all you have to let me know is, hey, this worked really well. Can we go up another level? And I'll send a new book. And then hopefully what I can do in the next coming weeks too is when we do some one-on-one Zoom chats, have your student read that book to me. And, if I feel like your student is prepared to move on, I can send them another book. Another great resource that I'll share in the comments is Get Epic. So this is something that's new. It's a virtual library. But basically, you can go to www.getepic.com/students, or you get the Epic app, and then this is the code that you enter. And I've already got all the students plugged into this library. And what it'll do once your student starts reading books is it'll kind of gauge the types of books they're interested in. And then it'll automatically, next time you log in, it'll pop up some of those same types of books. So right now it's kind of just guessing and, choosing just kind of random books that most kids like. But eventually it'll kind of feed off of what your child is choosing and go from there. And there's audiobooks that'll read it to you. But again, there's books on their level. So I've clicked on DRA on that website, and I've gone through and I've clicked most of the DRA levels. Well, actually, I've clicked all the DRA levels for each kid. And so right now it's in a range of their current DRA, which is those leveled books that we send home. So if you're in between, if you're like at a level 6, then I've clicked the 1 through 8 bracket. But if you're at level 16, then I've clicked the 9 through 16 bracket for you. So I'll talk here in just a few minutes more about where your students should be kind of at this time and where they should be by the end of the year. So Get Epic is one, I just showed that, and I'll put the link in the comments. And then the Benchmark app on Clever is another great tool and resource to use. I had a parent ask for a daily schedule. Now this is kind of what we do at my house every day, and it's really more for my sanity so that I can keep a schedule, because, we kind of have to share computers. Make it work for you. This is just something to kind of give you a guideline, because I know sometimes you just don't even know where to start. So here's kind of a daily schedule that I made. At my house, my kids get up and we do kind of breakfast TV free time from 8 until 9:30. From 9:30 to 11, my 4th grader and my preschooler obviously doesn't do as much, but they do their schoolwork. So my 4th grader is pretty capable of sitting from 9:30 to 11. We kind of have to get up and move maybe once or twice, really just kind of stretch for a few seconds, and then he can sit back down and work. So for 1st graders, I would let them do at 9:30, do their 15 minutes of Lexia. Do a quick 5-minute stretch or just kind of run around the house. I don't know, do jumping jacks. And then go back and do your 15 minutes of Dreambox. If you're a paper, do the reading activity. Take a quick stretch. Do the math activity. Take a quick stretch. Make it work for you. But I like to try and get most of their, core work done before lunch. On the 11 to 11:15, I make them do some sort of chore every day. So my preschooler goes around and he kind of dusts and takes a Clorox wipe and wipes all the doorknobs down. My husband works in and out of hospitals, so we're still kind of trying to clean stuff up around here. Thankfully he's off this week. At 11:15, we do lunch. We are early lunchers, and that's one thing I am thankful for being at home is we don't have to wait till 12:30 to eat lunch. You may need to put a snack in there somewhere. At 12 o'clock to 12:30, I have them do like a creative time. So some sort of art or building blocks or Legos, or do a dance party. Anything like that that's just creative. Something more art-centered. from 12:30 to 12:45 or 1, just to kind of depending upon the day. They have to go to their rooms and do some quiet time. Usually I make them look at books, but they have Legos up there too if they just want to continue with Legos, or sometimes they just need a cool down. Really, we all kind of need it just for like 15 to 30 minutes where we're not in each other's space. So that's kind of what we do. And then 1 to 2:30, you know, as long as all our NTI work is done, this is free time. My 4th grader likes to play his video games. You know, he has a class Zoom usually at 2:30, so that's when we stop, and he's usually actually off by like about 2:15. But this is also free play time. And then from 2:30 to 2:45, we usually do a snack time. And then 2:45 to 3 is just kind of, we do a physical activity. So we've been outside right now so far doing stuff, and going on walks, or do a Go Noodle on YouTube. If you get on YouTube, you can look at Go Noodle, or Cosmic Kids Yoga on Go Noodle. The kids usually like that too, okay? So that's kind of just a schedule, a sample of maybe what you could do, because I know that's kind of new for you to kind of balance out, like, hey, how do I do work from home but get my kids to do their stuff too? So this, you know, if you kind of focus on one area at a time, this might help. Okay. Next, I've got some reading tips that you can do. So something you can get, and actually, I got these off Amazon. The kids are used to using stuff, the letters that are like this. Now these are all uppercase letters and they're used to lowercase letters, but these are off of Amazon. I think they were $10. But I do know I was just at Walmart yesterday, and they had right in front of the toy section, they had little tubes, kind of like on the ends where you would see the bubbles, and they had tubes of magnetic letters. I don't remember how much they were, but that's an option to do that. And then I use a dry erase board. It's just one of the tiny ones. And that's normally what they do, but honestly, you could use a cookie sheet as long as the letters stick, and they can lay the letters out in alphabetical order. And what you can do is have them make their high frequency words. So, you know, the high frequency word, let's see, we have some and here, and usually they come with more than one vowel. So that way you can make words like here or where or then. So I would just say the words and let them make the words. Now what I'm also going to show you is how we kind of segment our words, because I know I was very guilty of this for a long time in teaching, and I know parents are guilty of this too, of telling your child to sound it out, you know, and that's how we were taught. So this is kind of something different that I do with them, as I make them look for pieces that they know. So I was doing a one-on-one the other day with one of my students, and we used this word, and she said, oh, Miss Thomas, I see the word read. I'm like, great, fantastic. So we see the word read, R-E-A-D, okay? So then we chunked off the other pieces. So I said, okay, well, what does A-L say sometimes? And I said, she goes, well, I'm not sure. I said, okay, well, what if I put another L there? L there. She goes, well, that would be the word all. Okay, so let's put that back up there. So she said, okay, I see all and read. And I said, well, what does Y say sometimes? And she said, well, Y says yeah. And I'm like, you're right, it does. But what if I wrote this word, and I wrote the word happy? She said, well, that's the word happy. And I said, well, what did you say at the very end? Well, I said E. Okay, so what do you think this Y could say? It's gonna say E. And I said, okay, well, let's put the pieces together. And she went all, read, E. And she said, well, that doesn't make sense. You're right, it doesn't make sense. So let's go back to this read part. And she says, I see that EA. And I know that EA can also say eh. And I said, you are so right. So she went back and she said, all, ed, E, already. And she did it. So that's something you can kind of help them do, is chunk it into pieces that they know. Find smaller pieces within. So I'll show you with another word. So another word, if they did this, okay, you would say, well, what do you see? And they're usually going to see that word or. They should, okay? Well, I see OR. Okay, great, OR. Most of my kids, there's probably a few just because we haven't gotten there yet in our phonics leveled readers, okay? But most should know that ER says So if I have or and then all we're concerned about is finding the C and the end, okay? And the N, sorry. So I'm gonna break this apart. And I see orn, corn. They should see corn, Then we can put it back together, corner. Okay, so this is kind of just something to help you teach them how to chunk different parts of the word. In math, use real world problems. What we were working on before we left, we were working on place value and adding and subtracting within 100. So, you know, and really within 100, not necessarily, we did not carry the 1, which I know a lot of you want to teach. But what we do is we draw quick pictures and we try to make a new 10. So let me show you an example of that. So if I had the problem 15 plus 27, okay? And they know how to make quick pictures for this. So if I did 15, here's what 15 would look like. 110, because 15 is made from 10 plus 5. Okay, so instead of drawing 10 circles, I'm going to draw a stick to replace that. So I have 110 and 5 ones. That's what that 5 is for. Okay, so for 27, this is what it would look like for 27. Okay, I have 2 10s and 7 1s. So what we're looking for, can I make a new 10? Can I find 10 circles and make a new stick, basically, okay? So they should know, well, I see 7, and I'm going to circle 3 more, okay? And then what I like to do is kind of go over it so that I can't see those, and I'm going to draw a new 10, okay? So then what I have now for my answer is I have 4 10s and 2 1s. So 42, okay? Same thing for adding multiples of 10. So that's really what we've kind of worked on too, is adding, you know, 42 plus 10 or 42 plus 20. We want to add multiples of 10 and get there quickly. So thinking about a hundreds chart and moving forwards and backwards on the hundreds chart, if we're doing subtraction, you know, if we're doing 95 minus 20, I want to go backwards 20 on the hundreds chart, but instead of counting backwards, you know, 20 individual squares, I want to know that I can just hop above. So it would be 75. The 2 things we had not covered yet in the classroom, and I'm really hoping to go back and cover these, but it's something I don't mind if you introduce. We have not done 3D shapes yet in the classroom for math, and we had not done graphing yet. So, and not a whole lot of measurement either. So for 3D shapes, just talking about what the shapes are named, what real life objects look like those, how many flat sides does it have? So like a cube, you know, it looks like a tissue box. It has 6 flat sides because we've got the 4 and the 2 on the top. Talking about the vertices, the corners that it has 8. And then talking about the edges. So the edges are the lines where the that connect at the vertice. So you can talk about 3D shapes. For graphing, it might be really fun to make a family graph of favorite ice cream. So maybe even calling family members and asking them, hey, what's your favorite ice cream? You know, maybe you could do some Zoom meetings and make a family graph that way. And then asking questions, okay, well, how many people like strawberry and chocolate? Or how many more people like chocolate than strawberry? So kind of just talking about that. And when you're using real life, it kind of just connects to them a little bit more. As far as benchmark areas by the end of 1st grade. So what your child should be reading by May, as far as a book goes, is a level J or K. And that correlates with a level 16 or 18. So in 1st grade, they have to make the biggest jump. Kindergarten students need to go from a level A to a level C. You know, that's just a few levels. 1st graders have to go from a level C or D all the way to a level J or K. In second grade, they go from a J or K to like an M. So first grade is huge. It's pivotal, okay? That's what those leveled books are for on Benchmark. And when you get on Epic, you know, it'll show you leveled books there too. So take a look at the books that your child has in their fluency binder, because there should be little letters on those books that are in the yellow envelope, and kind of see how far away they are from J or K, because that's really where they should be. I'd say, you know, February, March, usually students should be about an H. So that kind of will help you gauge where they need to be. Again, I said before, as long as you're doing the high frequency words, and I'll get that list to you, and they can read at least 90 to 95% of them, they're going to be fine, okay? Because the high frequency words are the hardest, because you can't sound them out. Normally you can't. If your child can answer basic comprehension questions about a story. So what's the main idea? What lesson did the character learn? Who are the characters in the story? What is the setting of the story? What's the plot? You know, the plot means beginning, middle, and end. Those are the types of questions they need to kind of answer about different fiction books. You know, in nonfiction books, it might be, where's the table of contents? Where would I find the glossary? What chapter do I go to learn about how mountains are formed? You know, so kind of just talk about what did you learn in the caption on page 18. So kind of talking about the different pieces of a nonfiction book too. As far as math goes, as long as they can add and subtract basic addition, you know, addition, subtraction. So being fluent to 10, and that means if I tell them, well, something plus 3 equals 10, they should be able to say 7 automatically, you know. But if I said, well, something plus 16 equals 20, they need to be able to come up with a strategy to use to figure that out. It doesn't have to necessarily be automatic. But then also being able to solve within 100. So like I showed you earlier with that quick picture, or using a hundreds chart to help them. Shapes, we've already gone through 2D shapes, so making sure they know 3D shapes. Graphing, and that's something I said you could do at home, where you kind of do a family graph, but I'm really hoping we get back to school and I can teach them more about graphing and measurement. Place value to 100. So talking about, you know, these are the 10s and the 1s. If I have 3 10s and 4 1s, how much do I have? You know, 34. So getting to where they're fluently knowing the answer to that. And then number sense. So number sense goes with counting forwards and backwards, from 0 to 120, from 120 backwards, starting at any given number. So if I tell them to start at 45, you know, and stop at 62, they need to be able to go from 45 to 62. And that's crossing 2 decades. You know, that's crossing 4950, 5960. Those seem to be kind of the troubled problems sometimes, but going backwards as well. If I tell you to start at 118 and count backwards to 89, they need to be able to go backwards too. What else is numbers? Number sense can be, you know, knowing, counting in patterns. So counting by 2s, 5s, 10s, really counting by 3s, you know, because it's no different. We kind of learn the easier ones, 2s, 5s, and 10s, but if they can skip count by 3s and 4s, when multiplication comes along at the end of second grade, they're going to be able to do that more fluently too. Okay, so hopefully I answered some of your questions. If you have any others, please let me know. Again, letters, they're on Amazon. I don't know how long they'll take to ship, because I noticed a lot of things are taking a little bit longer to ship recently. But again, they're at Walmart, and really probably at the dollar store too. So you can get that. Dry erase board. Really, if you don't have a dry erase board, they just get a dry erase marker. Let them write on your storm door. Let them write on some windows. Let them write on the back door. And really, honestly, sometimes the shower, if you have a stand-up shower, that material is dry erase marker workable. Okay, so that's something you could do too. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do. Let me show you the Epic one more time, but again, I'll post it. So this is the Epic code. If you go there, It'll kind of it'll show you all kinds of books. It's just a huge digital library. Miss Scholl's also going to be posting a video from another teacher. Miss Mullins, she teaches 2nd grade, and she'll kind of talk about Epic as well. And then let me show you the daily schedule one more time. Again, make it work for your family. This is kind of what works for us. Some days we have to change it, and that's okay. Don't stress out. Don't freak out. But I hope this answered some of your questions. I'm sorry that it's super long, but there's a lot to talk about with 1st graders. Thank you for your patience and thank you for your support. And please tell me if you have any questions. I'm here to answer them. And if you feel like we need like a parent Zoom, we can totally do a parent Zoom one night. Okay? Thank you for watching.